Today I'm looking at a 7330 Premium with, it's got 18.438 Firestone radial all-traction tires on the back. And I wanted to cover the tire markings on the side of a tire and why they matter in a evaluation. So in this one, in this case, it's an R1 tire. They do make it in an R1W, and an R1W is going to be worth more money. It's also going to be more expensive when you have to go and replace it. This one's got a 149B load rating. That's the standard for this size of tire in a Firestone, and they do make it in a heavier load rating, so it could be the heavier load rating is always going to be more expensive. Most people are probably familiar by now with IF and VF tires in the harvest applications, especially, and IF and VF are always going to be more expensive if something does go wrong with the guy needing to replace one. So this is just something to keep in mind when you're looking at trade evaluations on a piece of machinery, or if you're giving a guy a value on what his equipment's worth. If we look closer on this tire, you see it's got a couple of weather cracks on it. Pretty standard for an old tire like this. It's an 1808 date code, which means it's the 18th week of 2008 is when it was manufactured. So you get a guy come to look at it on your lot, and he'll probably try to chew you down on price a little bit, because they're not deep weather cracks, but they don't look the best, and anything that isn't going to look great is going to get usually noticed by the next customer down the line. If you go here and look at the closer to the tread, it's got some weather marks there too. You often see lug cuts or stubble damage, especially in row crop situations, and anything like that is going to knock the value down when you go to resell it. So just make sure you have that built in when you're giving a trade evaluation for it. You see stubble actually worked into the rubber there too. And so another thing you want to look at when you're trading in a tractor or giving an evaluation on it is looking at all the tires that are on a machine. You never know how it's going to affect the value down the road. So in this case, I've got a 14.9R28. This is a Firestone radial all traction FWD. On the other side, it's got a A110 tire. So if you're trying to resell it to a guy that's really picky about his tires, and maybe he's a Firestone fan, had good luck with them, whatever, he's going to want that tire on the left side replaced. If you're going for a guy that's more price conscious, you could probably sell it as is. So you think about all the little things that add up. So one of the things I wanted to touch on, we get a lot of questions on this, is there's a lot of swaps done on these machines. I'm looking at a 5075E utility tractor, and on the row crop side, it doesn't matter as much. If you're trading in an 18.446 or 408050, there's a lot of customers out there with uses for that. So there's a good chance you won't have to trade the tire size off. It's when you get into this 50 to 150 horsepower range that the tires get a lot more specialized. So you've got the industrials, the R4s, for like a lot of municipalities use them. R3s or turf tires. In this case, it's a radial R1, so a nice riding general utility tire. And then you get the bias R1s, which are a lot cheaper. Then there's new stuff in that market too, like the crossover R14 tires. But what we get questions a lot of times is on the 45s and 65 John Deere tractors like this. They come with 6928s, and a lot of those tractors did across the country. So there's not a huge market for them wherever you try to resell them at. And if you're bringing in a tractor, say from out of the area, or you're trading in a tractor in your area and you've got to switch tire sizes on it, make sure you're doing your legwork ahead of time so you know what the cost of what the next customer wants is going to be, because you might be buying that outright with no trade value in the tires. So just something to keep in mind, especially on the compact and utility stuff.